Welcome to the video, and I hope you enjoy my holiday to York, where I got a lot of reading done. I took a 3.5-hour train journey to get to York from Scotland, and I read about 144 pages of The Ashes of the Star-Cursed King by Carissa Broadbent, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I didn't realise it's over 600 pages, so I had a few books that I've downloaded onto my Kindle to read in the next few days on this trip, but I'm not sure how much what other books I'll actually manage to get read if that book is over 600 pages. This is my first solo holiday, so I'm just going to take you around what I get up to. I've never really vlogged in public before, so it might just be lots of clips and or voiceovers, and we'll see what this vlog ends up being, but I hope you enjoy. I'm now showing a tour of my room. It's a single person's room with an ensuite, and I stayed at the Booth Tavern, which is a very central location in York. Be warned, if you stay at a weekend, they do play live music in the bar downstairs. I then spent my afternoon, on the day I arrived, touring the York Art Gallery, and I had a wonderful time here. It wasn't very busy when I went this Thursday afternoon, and there were so many beautiful pieces of art, and I enjoyed reading all the placards associated with the art. It's a really lovely space, and I would really encourage you to visit if you do ever make a trip to York. I still had a lot of daylight left, and I took a lovely little stroll around York itself, and here's me next to the York Minster. There's some lovely green spaces in and around York, and I enjoyed having a wander and finding some nice places to sit and read my book. I then enjoyed a lovely wander down the York streets. There's the York Minster in the distance, and it will always be the tallest building in York. You're not allowed to build any higher than it. I then took myself on my first ever solo dinner to Wildwood. They make a lovely gluten-free carbonara, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I'm actually so surprised what I managed to get done late afternoon, early evening on this first day. The train got in at York at 1:30, but I couldn't get into my accommodation until about 3 o'clock. I was so excited to find this because as a solo traveller, it's actually really difficult to find places to stay on your own where you're not penalised for not booking as a double, like a couple or 2 single beds, and I didn't want to stay in a hostel. It's just not the kind of vibe for the holiday I'm going for, and not on my first holiday by myself. I may brave a hostel in the future, but I was so pleasantly surprised to find this place that I'm staying in just now, and it's so central to York as well. And I took a good walk about York, caught some last minute bits of sun, and generally had a really nice time. I found some benches and I read more of my book. I think I've read over 200 pages now. Just been reading it on my Kindle, and I think I'm like 35% into the book, so like 220 pages. And yeah, I went for my first dinner on my own. I went into a restaurant and asked for a table by myself, which as someone who is very anxious and I was just looking to kind of push my boundaries a bit, that was very nerve-wracking, but I did it, and I had a lovely gluten-free carbonara by myself, and yeah, I just generally had a really lovely afternoon. It's almost 7 p.m, and I think I'm just going to get changed into my jammies, and I've got my Switch with me, so I'm going to play some of my Switch and probably just have an early night. I've got some fun things planned for the next few days, but I'm generally not really busy. I'm just here to have a nice relaxed, chilled holiday and just get a lot of reading done. That's Thursday done. I will see you tomorrow morning. Good morning, it's 10:30 on Friday, and this is my first full day in York, and I'm really excited. I'm going to pop out and have another wander around, see if I can find somewhere to have brunch, breakfast, lunch, whatever, have something to eat. And the plan for today is to do the York Museum, and there's beautiful gardens around there as well, and I'm hoping the rain stays away. The weather's kind of overcast. It's supposed to be a decent temperature. I've got a long skirt on today, so I'm hoping it doesn't really rain, but it's threatening to rain all day and it might be a bit windy, so we'll see. But I'm excited to do a lot of walking again in the city because it's so walkable, and to do the gardens and perhaps some of the wall today as well. So come along with me. Here's my lovely lunch I ended up having. I then walked myself over to the York Museum, and it was such a beautiful day. It was a lot warmer than I'd anticipated, and it was nice to see the sun out. There were so many fun sections in this museum. Look how amazing and massive this fossil is. I had a fabulous time walking all over the museum and learning about so many different things. I think it's such a beautiful museum, and it's very compact. Upstairs in the museum was this beautiful old library. There was such an amazing collection of books here, and everything in these two rooms was very old and very fun to look at. This room was also a bit of a surprise, as you'll spot many a taxidermied animal. That massive peacock up there, there's some squirrels and birds, and in the corner is a brown bear. Yes, a massive brown bear. This was such a fun room to sit in for a short time. I then enjoyed a lovely walk in the ruins at the back of the museum and then took myself down the main city centre section of the Old York. I love how these buildings look and how the streets are still cobble and how they're close and together. It's just such a beautiful city, and I love the layout and structure of it. It's very fun to navigate, and we'll have a walk around in. And that's me back after my first full day in York. Today was Friday and I got so much done today. I'm so pleased with everything I managed to pack in, and it's been a really lovely day. I got up and I left about 10:30 and I went to go to visit the York Ghost Merchants in the Shambles. I thought I'll go there first so I can get in before the crowds hit. But lo and behold, it's popular no matter the time of day, and the queue was going to be over an hour, and I was not one to wait in that. I have been to the York Ghost Merchants before, and I thought I'd come back at a different time. I have one already, and I bought my sister one, so I was going to get us another one each. However, when I got there and I spoke to one of the staff members who are all dressed up in their lovely period outfits, it's so cute, I love it. It's just a really nice touch to the vibe and ambience of the area and the shop. They advised that there's now a ghost dispensary. I don't know if it's going to focus on that, in St Anthony's Gardens, and they give it these wee cards with like a little diagram of how to get there, and they only have this set up and available when the main ghost shop in the Shambles is really busy and it's crowded with people. So those who are able can walk the 10 minutes to this little dispensary that's also very cutely decorated and looks just like the main ghost shop, but in a more low-key fashion. It's not got lots of the little secrets as the main one does, but everyone's still dressed up and the aesthetic is really cool. I think I've got some video clips of that as well, and also little clips of the two ghosts that I bought for my sister and myself, and I just love their packaging. It's really cute. So that's us both got another one to add to our little collections, and that was lovely. After sitting and reading for a couple of hours, I went round some more shops again, and I went to a few bookstores. I tried to get some footage of some of these shops, but the bookshops in particular are very small and quite cramped, packed in, because it's the old buildings. They're not very big. So I took some footage where I could, but it's quite awkward because I didn't want to be very overtly filming, and there's always lots of people in there too. And at the end of today, the only book I bought was The Unreal and the Real by Ursula K. Le Guin, which is volume 1, Where on Earth. I've already read volume 2, and these are fantastic short stories, and I'm really excited to read these ones as well. I think this copy was only £4 second hand, so that was really lovely. I just spent more time walking about. It was dry today, and I ended up sitting outside York Cathedral again, and I read my book even more. I think I'm almost 75% through The Ashes of the Star-Cursed King. I'm really enjoying it. It's very good, and I might get it finished tonight, or at very least finished quite promptly tomorrow, probably at lunchtime, but without spoilers because it is book 2 in a series. I'm really enjoying how the conflict's gone with this, because it's an enemies to lovers kind of fantasy romance with like vampires and stuff, if you didn't know, and I'm very pleasantly surprised with how well the conflict's kind of continued. A lot of times I can be quite disappointed because in enemies to lovers they make up after 2 or 3 chapters and it's just not satisfying, whereas this conflict and the difficulties in their relationship and their past history and the things they've done to each other has been ongoing. As I said, I'm nearly 75% through, and there's still issues. They're not totally made up with each other just yet, and yeah, I think that's a really cool aspect of the story. It's very realistic and believable, and it's vampires and magic, people with wings. Hey, it's working out. So yeah, as I said, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to starting another book tomorrow. And I was a bit worried when I arrived yesterday and I started this book being 600 pages that I wouldn't be able to read any other books, but I'm surprisingly taking this holiday quite low key, and I'm finding a lot of time to read, which has been a lot of fun. So I probably won't film any more tonight. I got myself a chippy for tonight. I didn't really feel like a proper restaurant meal after having such a lovely lunch. I'm not a huge eater anyway, and so I'm just gonna have a quiet evening. I'm very, very excited for tomorrow though, Saturday. I'm actually meeting up with the wonderful Abby of Pellinor. I'll leave her channel linked below. She is a lovely resident of this city of York, and we're meeting up tomorrow and we're going to have some fun and just catch up. So you might see a little glimpse of her in this vlog, and I'm very excited to see what parts of York she has to show me tomorrow. And now it's Saturday and I'm so excited. I'm just ready and I'm off to meet Abby, and I think we're going to have a wonderful day. We're going to go to the library, bookshops, I think we're going to get something to eat and just have a really lovely day. I think it's due to be a bit wet today. I've avoided it so far, so that's okay. I'm going to take my jacket, I've got my umbrella, and I'm just going to have a really nice day regardless, so I'll take you along with me. I found Abby! Hi! We're just going to be hanging out today in the library. Got a cafe. Bookshops. It's a must. Of course. So what else would we do? Exactly. So we'll just take you along. But yay! Our first stop after the library was the Portal Bookshop, which is an LGBTQIA+ bookshop, and it was fabulous to be in here. It had so many amazing books. We spent time in the cafe's bookshop before going to the park and seeing these lovely owls and birds of prey. I had such a brilliant day with Abby. We've not long said goodbye, and I'm back in my room just for a little bit of a break. We had a great time. We walked around the library, we went to quite a few bookshops. She took me to the Portal Bookshop, which I think is one of her favourite bookshops here in York, and they sell LGBTQIA+ books by their authors or featuring characters as well. It was a lovely little bookshop. I've got some footage of that here, and I bought two books. I bought The Deep by River Solomon. This is a book I've been meaning to pick up for a while. It's kind of horror with mermaids, and I love a good mermaid horror story, and it's quite a short novella, so I picked that one up. And on the recommendation of Abby, I picked up Chilling Effect by Valerie Valdez, and this is a science fiction space opera book but featuring cats. So I'm very excited to dive into this one. It looks right up my street. I think it's the first in a series and it looks great fun, so I picked up that as well. And there's a cafe above the shop and we sat up there. They did gluten-free cake, which was amazing. We had a cup of tea and we nattered away for quite a while. It was lovely. Then we went round nearby and went to Waterstones, where Abby bought me a copy of A Man and His Cat, and this is a manga and it's so cute. It seems like it's kind of sad. It's about a kitten that gets not a lot of attention in a pet shop, and even when the price gets lowered for the kitten, no one wants to buy them, and this gentleman comes on and does so. And it's a manga and it looks really sad and cute and sweet, and this is one that Abby loves and has bought the first few editions of as well, so she bought me this copy so that I could also enjoy that, as I'm also a fellow cat person. So that was just absolutely lovely. Had a really brilliant day, and yes, that was my Saturday in York. I haven't got much more read. I finished my book this morning, The Ashes of the Star-Cursed King. I completed that book this morning. I'm actually just about to start Frontier by Grace Curtis. This is a novella, kind of length, science fiction space book, and I'm really looking forward to reading this. I don't know how much I'll get read today. I might get the whole thing read. We'll see. This is a reading slash travel holiday, and I want to sit and plan what I want to do tomorrow, but it is weather dependent. But tomorrow will be my last full day in York as I travel home the day after, quite early on in the morning, back to Glasgow. So yeah, I've had a wonderful trip so far, and I've still got many more things to do, but I'm so glad I got to hang out with Abby today. It was a lot of fun to see the city through the eyes of someone who lives here. My last full day here, and I've made it onto the walls. Finally, I don't know if I'll go the whole way around, but giving it a good go. The local market provided me with this freshly made lemonade and this massive raspberry and white chocolate meringue, though it was delicious. I spent a lovely couple of hours reading my book, sitting next to the York Minster and listening to the bells. It was a gorgeous day. I then went for another walk around the York town, and of course I found the Cat Cafe. I decided to go for one last wander along the walls, as it's my last night here in York and I go home tomorrow, and I'm just on my way to dinner as well, so I thought one more look around the walls as the sun is setting would be really lovely. I'm back from dinner. It was my last dinner here in York. This is my last night. I go home. My train is just before midday tomorrow, but I have to check out by 10 AM. And I thought I would just tell you a bit about how I found Frontier by Grace Curtis. That's the second book I've finished on this small trip, and it was okay in my opinion. It's a sapphic kind of space cowboy story. It's not really long. I just found it a bit confusing and a bit nonsensical, but in a weird way, not an enjoyable way. The main protagonist's point of view that you're following, they have different names. They're called different things, so it might take you a minute to realise that it's the same person that you're following for each section. And there's random snippets of other point of views, and it takes a while before you realise how they link in. And yeah, I enjoyed this world. It's like an interesting take on a kind of post-apocalyptic world, kind of utopian world, and how it didn't quite work out when most of the humans left Earth for spacefaring travels, and who was left on Earth basically. But yeah, it was alright. And like the kind of romantic interlinking relationship part of the story, I wasn't really sold on it. I just don't think the author showed enough or explained enough to make that make sense, and it to be the driving force behind your main character's actions and things like that. But for a short little read, it was fun. Since finishing that, I've gone on to start She Walks in Shadows, and this is like a short story collection, but it's been edited by Silvia Moreno Garcia and another person I can't remember the name of, but that's what caught my eye, as I've been wanting to read books by them before, and this is a short story collection all written by women, and it's quite cool so far. I'm enjoying the first couple of stories that I've read, and I'm going to maybe read a wee bit more tonight, and that'll be my train ride book tomorrow, as I've got about a 3-4 hour train journey back to Glasgow bright and early tomorrow. I'm now home from my trip. It's the customary few days later to film the ending of this vlog. I didn't film much on my travel day home because there was a big issue at the train station. Someone sadly lost their life on the railway tracks, and all the trains were delayed, diverted, cancelled, and it was a whole mess for a good few hours. So it took me a lot longer to get back to Glasgow than I first anticipated, and it wasn't a very cheeky reason, so I didn't bother filming anything. The last clip that you saw was the brunch I got, which I was so thankful I got. I was planning on just getting a sandwich to eat on the train, but I'm really glad I went for a sit-down meal prior to having to wait at my train station and wait on a delayed train. In total I was delayed about 2 hours, which adds up when your whole trip home is about 3.5-4 hours to begin with. Anyway, on to happier things. I had such a brilliant time. This, as I'd said at the start of the video, was my first holiday on my own, my first trip by myself, and I had a really, really great experience. I think it really helped going back to a city that I know and love, and carved out time to meet Abby. And it was nice to know that I had a friend in the city if there was something to happen. Anxious person, you know, you need to have contingency plans for every eventuality. But I went into this holiday keeping it quite casual and low-key. I did lots of things I wanted to do. I took advantage of the nice dry weather and read outside a lot. And I'm just really, really pleased with how it went. And it's definitely something I would would like to do in the future. I'll leave on screen the details of how many pages I got read each day of the trip, like I normally do in my reading vlogs, but in total I read about 1,062 pages, which I'm really proud of. I really focused in on my reading and just carved out time for it, and it was lovely. So I finished the massive book The Ashes of the Star-Cursed King by Chris Broadbent, the second book in like a duology within a wider series, and I thoroughly enjoyed that. I also then finished Frontier by Grace Curtis. I also read about two-thirds of the short story collection She Walks in Shadows, which is an anthology edited by Silvia Moreno Garcia. So as you can see, I have my little York ghosts up here. I got the white and kind of reddy pink one on this trip, and then the little black one is the one I got on my last trip. So they've now joined my bookish background collection. So I've started editing this video, and this is my first video of this kind that I've made. More clips than anything else. I've done voiceovers for the first time, so please give me feedback in the comments. I would like to know if you enjoyed it, and if you've got anything that you would like to see from me in the future, and I'll happily make a video about it. So I hope you enjoyed my holiday, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.